Everyone, and happy August 30th to you. Today is a very, very important date for me. It is my Luna's birthday. She's 5 years old today. She's a whole handful, as I say, and trust me, she is a handful. Just like I did on Brooklyn's birthday, I'm going to tell you guys her birth story. I was not recording back then. I don't even think I even heard of YouTube at that point, even though I've been around for a while. But if I would have recorded her birth. But since I wasn't, there you go. Don't mind Sam back there. He's watching something on Sarah's phone while she's at school. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you the story of my little Luna's birth. I guess the story begins the day before she was born, on August 29th, 2011, which happened to be my brother's, what, 15th? 14th or 15th birthday, I don't remember. My whole pregnancy, my mom had said to me, oh, you're gonna have her on his birthday no matter what, blah, 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 blah. And because she was right about Brooklyn coming the day she came, which was my mom and my stepdad's 10th wedding anniversary, she just assumed she'd be right when it came to Luna too. It was the day, like I said, of my little brother's birthday. He had just turned 14, again, I'm not sure. So I went for my 39-week appointment because I was 39 weeks that day. And I swear, I was there for what felt like forever. It was the longest appointment. I don't know, like, what it was, like if he was really backed up, or maybe he had like an emergency and he had to leave for a while, but still kept his appointments coming. I don't know what the problem was. But up until that point, I had never met my actual delivering doctor. I had seen the nurse practitioner, who was so nice. Anyway, if I remember correctly, and I'm not sure I do, my appointment was at like 1:30 in the afternoon. I wasn't in a room until like 3:15, I believe. And I was in the room for a good like half an hour plus, just waiting. Anyway, the doctor came in and he checked me for dilation, which most, hi Gracie, hi, my cat came in, hi baby, which most doctors, midwives will do at that point. They'll check you if, you know, you want them to. And I didn't realize it at the time, but he also gave me a stretch and sweep, and oh my god, that was like the most painful thing. Oh my god. So, he told me, he's like, oh, this is number 4. We're gonna go ahead and schedule you for an induction on Friday. And since that whole week was exact same as this week, meaning she was born on a Tuesday and today is a Tuesday, 5 years later, that Friday, just like this Friday, was the 2nd. And I did not want to be induced. Like, for being as far along as they said I was, and I'll explain more about that whenever I get to her birth stats, I felt great. Like, for you to think for like that far along I'd be miserable, and I wasn't. I was feeling really great. Except for, of course, throwing up 18 times a day, but that, but he's like, oh, we're gonna go ahead and induce you. And I was like, oh, okay. Now, he went ahead and made the appointment for that Friday, but I had no intention of showing up that Friday, to be honest. I wasn't gonna go. And he was probably gonna be mad, but I did not want to be induced, and I knew I wouldn't have to be induced. So anyway, I get dressed, and the whole way home, my appointment was, at the time I was living in Fontana, California, I think, and my doctor was all the way in Ontario, California. And that, if you know the area, is a good like 25 minutes between where I was going. The whole way home, like, my back was like really hurting, but like, you know, I was pregnant, so whatever. So my husband went back to work, and he had taken off work that whole time to be with me. But thankfully his boss was like, you know what, never mind. And he was like, you know what, you can make it up whenever you get back, don't worry about it. So he went back to work. And he's at work, and I'm texting my babe, you know what, I think maybe I'm having contractions, but I can't really tell too much. And his mom at the time was staying with us. And he's like, well, see if my mom has to work tonight, because he didn't know if she had to work. And if not, then if she's not working, ask if she can watch the kids. And if she is working, call your mom if she can watch the kids. And then I'll just take you to the hospital just to be sure you're okay. So thankfully, she wasn't working, so we'd have to haul the kids to my mom's house. And we went to the hospital around, I want to say 7 or 8 that night. So the stretch and sweep was around roughly 4, and then I got to the hospital around 8. And at that point, I don't remember how dilated I was, but I was contracting consistently every, like, I think it was 4.5. Hi. I think it was like 4.5 to 5 minutes I was contracting. And again, I'm not 100% sure on that because I wasn't really feeling anything. Like, I felt tight, but not like pain. So my hospital and a lot of hospitals' policy is if you come in thinking you're in labor after 39 weeks, and since I was that day, he just wants to say hi. They go ahead and keep you and induce you. But they determined that I was in early labor, and they gave me the option, like, well, you can go ahead and go home and you can be back here in a few hours, or we can go ahead and keep you and give you some Pitocin to help get things going. And since I lived about 45 minutes from the hospital, and because Brooklyn had come so fast, my husband and I decided it was the best thing for both me and the baby and him if we just went ahead and stayed. And around like 9 o'clock, I was finally admitted in a room, all that stuff. I decided to let my family and friends know that I was in labor. And my mom, oh my God, my mom, like, I knew it. And I'll never forget my best friend, Amy. She's like, well, here's hoping she stays in for at least, Sam, don't put your feet on me, for at least 4 or 5 hours. That way your mom will be wrong. Little did we know. So there, for some reason, midnight is when the nurses would change shift. I don't know why, because most hospitals, it's between 5 and 9, but there it was 12. I don't know why. But anyway, the night nurse came on, and she's like, okay, well, I'm going to have you roll onto your side. And I don't know if it's just the women in my family or women in general, but once we lay on our side, our labor just stops. Like, it does not, you do not have one contraction the whole time you're on your side. That same thing happened with Luna. I was on my side, and then the nurse came back in around to let me rest. The nurse came back in around like 8 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And I had called my friend Mallory because she was going to be there for the birth. I called her and I'm like, hey, or texted her, I think, I'm not sure. But I'm like, hey, if you still want to be here, you have time. I'm only like at 4. And, you know, so if you want to come down to the hospital, you know, you can come. So, and I'm never going to forget this. I stood up, had to go to the bathroom. Whenever I came back, I stood up and went to the bathroom when I came back, and I had a real contraction. This was like around 9 in the morning. And the nurse was like, well, you don't have to go back on your side. You know, you can stand if you want. Because I had the Pitocin, so I couldn't like walk around. And she had to be on the monitors. So like, well, you can like walk around as much as you want, like, you know, in your room, you know, but you can't like, you know, walk the halls, which sucked. But my contractions were coming on like really bad, like almost piggybacking. So I got back in the bed and I practiced a form of hypnobabies, as kind of like went with like in myself with every single contraction. Then I heard my friend arrive. And I heard her and my husband talking. And I heard the nurse say to her, because the nurse had been a nurse the whole time and had somehow thought maybe I'd gotten the epidural before she got there, but I was walking, so I don't know. But she said to her, wouldn't it be nice to just sleep through labor like that? And I'm sorry, but I was not sleeping. I was concentrating, okay? So, I had like these massive contractions where all you want to do is push, but I didn't because, well, the doctor wasn't there, number one, and I was at 10 for a good like 15 minutes before I actually felt that urge to push. And I had like 3 or 4 contractions where it was very hard not to push. And if anyone's ever been told not to push, you know what I mean. It is like hell. But anyway, so finally I was like, I can't not push anymore. Doctor still wasn't there, but I couldn't hold it back anymore. I could not hold her back anymore. And then she just popped out, one push. My water never broke. She was born encased in her water. And the nurse like gave her a little, like a very, very few like just like that rubs. And the water bag burst everywhere. He's making faces behind me. I can see him. What are you doing? Hi. Anyway, and then I remember like it got quiet. Not like quiet, but like not like the bustle usually quiet. And they took her over to examine her, which they do after every baby. Doctor came in. Doctor came in at that point. He's like, oh, okay, did she tear? And I didn't tear. He's like, all right, well, see you in 6 weeks. And I only met my doctor, my delivering doctor. I met him twice for a total of maybe 5 minutes. And that's it. And I never saw him. He didn't even do my 6-week checkup. That was the nurse practitioner. But anyway, so they have little baby Luna. And there's a nurse, you know, with her and a nurse with me. And they give out her birth stats. So she was born at 9:40, which I heard 9:40. My husband heard 9:43. And my friend heard 9:45. But her paperwork, she was born, said 9:40. So that's what we're going to go with, 9:40. So, and then she was 6 pounds, 3 ounces, and 17 3/4 inches, which is very, very small for a baby of that gestation. I'm kind of fuzzy about the next part, but apparently it was somehow determined that she was not as far along as they thought she was. And that was why she was so small and such an easy delivery, I guess you could say, because, you know, one push is like nothing, and all of that. So yeah, that's why I said I wasn't exactly 39 weeks. They said at most I was anywhere between 36.5 and 37.5. She was somewhere in that, within that week. I did not have a dating ultrasound. My first ultrasound I had with her, I only had 2 with her, and the first one I had was the anatomy scan when I was like 19 or 20 weeks, something like that. And she measured small then too. And then I had one about 3 weeks before she was born, 2-3 weeks, to make sure that she was head down. But other than that, that's all I had with her, was just those 2 ultrasounds. So if I had had the dating one, she probably obviously would have been born, because I was not to term yet. Anyway, so they take us into the, you know, I get her back and I get her all dressed and I cuddle her and I call everyone and everything. But anyway, that is the story of Luna's birth. I will insert pictures at the end. I'm going to do a couple of belly shots, and then I'll do a couple of pictures, you know, of her as a newborn. So yeah, that's that story. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I will talk to you guys for our next video. Bye.